NCIS fans face heartbreak as Gibbs's comeback remains unlikely. For nearly 2 decades, Leroy Jethro Gibbs stood at the center of NCIS, stoic, disciplined, fiercely loyal, and guided by his famous rules. Gibbs became more than simply the leader of the major case response team. He became the heart and soul of the franchise. Portrayed masterfully by Mark Harmon, the character transformed into one of television's most recognizable figures, helping turn NCIS from a modest procedural into a global phenomenon. Yet years after Gibbs stepped away from active duty, fans continue to ask the same question: will he ever return? Unfortunately for devoted viewers hoping for a triumphant comeback, the answer appears increasingly uncertain. While the door has never been completely closed, recent developments surrounding the franchise suggest that a full-time return or even a major guest appearance remains highly unlikely in the foreseeable future. For longtime fans, that reality is nothing short of heartbreaking. When Gibbs exited NCIS during season 19, the moment felt surreal. After surviving countless missions, personal tragedies, betrayals, and near-death experiences, Gibbs finally chose peace over duty. His decision came after solving a case in Alaska, where he discovered something he had not experienced in years: tranquility. Rather than return to Washington, D.C., Gibbs informed Timothy McGee that he intended to stay behind. It was an emotional farewell. There was no dramatic funeral, no heroic sacrifice, and no shocking cliffhanger. Instead, viewers witnessed a man who had carried immense pain for decades, finally allowing himself to rest. Many fans initially believed the departure would be temporary. After all, television history is filled with beloved characters leaving only to reappear later. Gibbs himself had taken absences before. Why should this one be any different? But as seasons passed, the possibility of an immediate return began to fade. One of the biggest obstacles to a Gibbs comeback is simple: Mark Harmon wanted a different lifestyle. For years, Harmon carried enormous responsibilities behind the scenes. In addition to starring as Gibbs, he also served as an executive producer, helping shape the series creatively. Producing and starring in a network procedural is an exhausting commitment. A typical NCIS season involves long filming schedules, extensive production meetings, promotional obligations, and months away from personal life. After nearly 20 years, Harmon reportedly desired a slower pace and more personal freedom. By all accounts, his departure was carefully considered rather than forced. That distinction matters. Actors sometimes leave shows because of contract disputes or creative disagreements, circumstances that can later be resolved. Harmon's situation appears fundamentally different. He chose to step away after achieving virtually everything possible with the character. From a storytelling standpoint, Gibbs's arc reached a satisfying conclusion. From a personal standpoint, Harmon gained the opportunity to spend more time with family and pursue projects on his own terms. Neither factor suggests an imminent return. Perhaps the strongest indication that Gibbs is unlikely to return lies in the evolution of NCIS itself. When Harmon departed, many observers wondered whether the flagship series could survive without its longtime leader. The answer, surprisingly, was yes. The show underwent significant changes, introducing new leadership dynamics and allowing existing characters to step into larger roles. Gary Cole's Alden Parker emerged as the team's new leader, bringing a dramatically different style. Unlike Gibbs, Parker relies heavily on humor, intuition, and a more relaxed leadership approach. Initially, some fans resisted the transition. Replacing an icon is never easy. However, over time, viewers gradually accepted Parker as his own character rather than a direct replacement. The series found a new rhythm, and ratings remained respectable. The longer NCIS continues without Gibbs, the less likely it becomes that producers will dramatically alter the formula again. Television series thrive on stability. Bringing Gibbs back permanently could disrupt years of character development and undermine the show's successful transition into a post-Gibbs era. Gibbs's absence also created opportunities for other characters to evolve. Timothy McGee matured into a senior investigator capable of mentoring younger agents. Jessica Knight developed into a fan favorite. Nick Torres gained additional emotional depth, while Casey Hines became an indispensable member of the team. Most importantly, Alden Parker established his own identity. Rather than attempting to imitate Gibbs, Parker carved out a unique place within the franchise. His leadership style encourages collaboration and openness, creating a workplace atmosphere distinctly different from the one Gibbs presided over. That creative choice appears intentional. Writers have repeatedly emphasized that NCIS is entering a new chapter rather than revisiting old ones. A full-scale Gibbs return could inadvertently reverse that progress. Despite all evidence suggesting otherwise, fans have never stopped hoping. Social media discussions regularly feature speculation about potential returns. Every interview involving Mark Harmon inevitably includes questions about Gibbs. Even minor references within episodes ignite excitement. A mention of Alaska, a passing comment from McGee, an unexplained phone call. Anything remotely connected to Gibbs immediately generates headlines and fan theories. That enduring enthusiasm demonstrates the remarkable impact the character continues to have. Very few television protagonists maintain such emotional resonance years after leaving. Gibbs is different. For millions of viewers, NCIS and Gibbs remain inseparable. While a permanent return seems unlikely, occasional guest appearances cannot be entirely ruled out. Television history shows that beloved characters often return for milestone episodes, anniversaries, or special events. A future NCIS anniversary celebration could certainly provide an opportunity. Imagine the emotional power of Gibbs reuniting with McGee, Torres, or Parker during a significant crisis. Even a brief appearance could electrify fans. However, such scenarios would likely be limited in scope. Industry observers generally believe that if Harmon returns, it would probably involve a single episode or a carefully planned special event, rather than an extended storyline. In other words, fans should temper expectations. A cameo remains possible. A full comeback does not. Ironically, Gibbs may still remain deeply connected to the franchise even without physically returning to the flagship series. The introduction of NCIS Origins significantly altered the landscape. The prequel explores Gibbs's early years as a young agent, allowing audiences to revisit the character's formative experiences while introducing a new cast. Crucially, Mark Harmon remains involved as an executive producer and narrator. This arrangement allows Harmon to continue shaping Gibbs's legacy without returning to the demanding schedule of weekly on-screen appearances. For many observers, Origins represents the ideal compromise. Fans receive new Gibbs stories. Harmon stays creatively engaged. The flagship series continues evolving independently. Everybody benefits. At the same time, the prequel may reduce the urgency for a present-day comeback. If audiences can already experience Gibbs's world through Origins, producers may feel less pressure to bring him back to the main show. Another factor complicating a return is narrative satisfaction. Gibbs spent years carrying unimaginable grief. The murders of Shannon and Kelly define nearly every aspect of his life. His dedication to work often came at tremendous personal cost, damaging relationships and isolating him emotionally. Throughout NCIS, viewers watched him gradually heal. He formed deep friendships. He rebuilt trust. He learned to let others into his life. Ultimately, Alaska represented something profound: peace. Removing Gibbs from that peaceful existence simply to return him to Washington could diminish the emotional impact of his farewell. Sometimes the most powerful ending is the one left untouched. Writers understand this. Audiences understand this. Even fans desperately wanting more Gibbs often acknowledge that his final scenes provided meaningful closure. Another reality fans must consider is Mark Harmon's evolving career priorities. At this stage of his life, Harmon appears increasingly selective about projects. Rather than committing to lengthy network productions, he may prefer limited involvement behind the scenes, occasional narration work, or entirely new creative ventures. Actors frequently seek fresh challenges after portraying a single role for decades. Harmon devoted nearly 20 years to Gibbs. Expecting him to return indefinitely may simply be unrealistic. His continued participation as a producer demonstrates ongoing affection for the franchise, but producing and starring represent vastly different commitments. One allows flexibility, the other demands total immersion. For someone seeking balance, the choice seems obvious. There is no denying the sadness many viewers feel. Television characters often become companions across different stages of life. Fans watched Gibbs solve cases during college years, marriages, career changes, and family milestones. For some, NCIS has been a constant presence for over 20 years. Saying goodbye to Gibbs felt personal. The continued uncertainty surrounding his future only intensifies those emotions. Hope persists because fans genuinely love the character. That connection speaks volumes about both the writing and Mark Harmon's performance. Few actors leave behind such a lasting legacy. Even so, television has taught audiences one important lesson: never say never. Unexpected returns happen, creative opportunities emerge, special events materialize, actors change their minds. While current circumstances strongly suggest that Gibbs's comeback remains unlikely, the entertainment industry is famously unpredictable. A 10th anniversary special, a franchise crossover, a farewell movie, a limited streaming event. Any of these possibilities could theoretically entice Harmon back. Still, those scenarios remain speculative. At present, fans should view any future appearance as a pleasant surprise rather than an expectation. Whether Gibbs ever returns or not, his influence on NCIS remains undeniable. His rules continue guiding agents. His mentorship shaped McGee, Torres, and countless others. His presence still lingers in team conversations, investigative approaches, and the very culture of the agency. More importantly, Gibbs helped create one of television's most enduring franchises. That achievement cannot be erased by absence. If Gibbs never appears on NCIS again, his story has already secured a permanent place in television history. For fans, accepting that reality may be difficult, heartbreaking even. But perhaps the greatest tribute to Gibbs is recognizing that he finally achieved something he had spent decades searching for: peace. And maybe, after everything he endured, that is exactly where his story was always meant to end.